I don't want to talk about it. I'll fill you in a little bit later, but it was a case yesterday, her son, and we'll talk we'll talk a little bit later. I could use some advice. Um, anyway, I'm so frustrated. Ben, what do you think about how to get the bigger audience here? What do we need to be doing?
I think we need to be doing exactly what we're doing, and when everything is the way it needs to be, the audience will be here. I mean, keep in mind that what we're doing right now is, it is being broadcast out there.
Yeah,
So as long as you have the metrics on what's happening with all of that stuff that's going out there, then I would be concerned if you're not getting any hits on any of the stuff that's being streamed.
yeah.
But as far as the audience of what we got here, I wouldn't stress about it, Deb. I wouldn't.
Okay.
I would. I'd keep doing what we're doing.
Okay. Hi,
Yep.
Sherry. I see you got on. Hello. Welcome. You're muted. Sherry, you're muted. There you go.
Nope, she's still muted. Every time somebody comes in the room, Debbie, they automatically get muted. They need to
Okay.
unmute themselves.
Does that include me, maybe? So they're automatic. You have to unmute yourself. She'll find it there, Mike, Mary, and yeah, I appreciate it. Ben, how do you come up with these topics? I'm always, at least and I talk about how accurate and how powerful. Today we were asking, I think I know what the meaning of this is, but it's so powerful. How do you come up with it? Do you have an inventory of these guys or what?
No, I, you know, well, I'll tell you. So, whatever's going on with what I'm thinking about, what I'm reading, what I'm praying about is what it is, and so I also like to not necessarily have some matchy stuff, and keeping in mind that the ministry that we run is specific to military. So, and I served in the military. I've been wounded twice in the military. I've got plenty of of things that I can rely back on for messages that, so this stuff is real. It's not something I've pulled from somewhere. This is applicable to me. Um, so I know it's applicable to the other folks out there.
So true. I think we're good to go live now. Yes? Anybody give me a thumbs up? Are we good, Rose?
We are
We're
live.
already
Yeah.
live.
Okay. Well, as always, welcome. We were just talking, it certainly is my want and my hope that we get more exposure to veterans and first responders. I think your real life stories say all. There's no staging, there's no planning. We're here for an hour to talk, help, and resolve any concerns or issues people might have, and hopefully to give some good thought-provoking ideas to the table. And Ben, I defer to you on that always. We like to open up with an opening and a closing prayer, and we always lean on you to do that, Ben. So,
Very good.
to you. You bet. You bet.
So, I'm Benjamin. I'm with an organization called Freedom at a Price, and thank you to Deb for involving us in this. But I've got a short message for you guys to open this up, and then we'll have some prayer. But it's called "Check Your Compass, Not Your Circumstance." And I have a simple question: what are you using as your compass? Every one of us, we've all been turned around before. Maybe it was a land nav, maybe it was a deployment, trying to make sense of an unfamiliar road when you're downrange, right? Maybe it was just simply trying to get somewhere and you got some bad directions. One thing that gets people in trouble faster than almost anything is you stop trusting your compass and you start trusting something else. You think, I'm pretty sure it's this way, which is, the famous last words, right? The problem is being convinced that you're right doesn't mean that you're headed in the right direction. So, in fact, most people, when they get lost, they don't even realize that they're lost right away. They drift a little bit at a time, one wrong turn, one assumption, one shortcut. Eventually, they're miles away from where they intended on being. And guys, life works the same exact way. Most of us, we don't wake up in the morning and decide that we're going to go off course. Nobody does that. It happens typically slowly. We start making bad decisions, and a lot of times that's based on what's going on around us. So when things aren't going well, we don't feel so great. But when things are going great, we feel confident. And when life gets hard, we feel defeated. And when money's tight, we get anxious. And when relationships fall apart, we wonder if there's any direction left at all. Our circumstances all of a sudden become our compass. And the problem with that is that our circumstances, they change every single day. And feelings change, opinions change, politics change, the economy changes, even the people around us change. But the thing is, a compass always points north. And if those things become your compass, you'll spend your whole life doing nothing but just changing directions, right? Proverbs 3:5 and 6 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding, and in all ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight. Notice it doesn't say trust your gut. It doesn't say follow your heart. It doesn't say, it says lean not on your own understanding. And that's difficult for military folks. We've been trained to solve problems, adapt, overcome. Those are valuable qualities for sure, but there's some questions in life that experience alone can't answer. And that's why God gives us his word. Psalm 119:105 says, your word is a lamp for my feet and a light for my path. And I like that picture because a lamp doesn't show 20 miles out in front of us, right? It simply shows us our next step. And sometimes that's frustrating because we want the whole plan. We want it now. And let's be honest, if we had the whole plan ahead of time, we'd probably screw it up. But we want to know that everything is going to work out. But God often doesn't give us the light for that far out. It's just for today, just enough light for maybe even the next conversation. And the next decision or the next act of obedience. And that's really enough, guys. Maybe tonight you're carrying questions that nobody else knows about. Maybe you're wondering what comes after retirement. Maybe you're still wearing the uniform, but you're lost in that with a sense of purpose that you have. Maybe your marriage is struggling. Maybe you're carrying guilt from something that happened years ago, maybe downrange. Maybe you're fighting loneliness or anger or anxiety or depression or all the other things that we go through. Or maybe you look fine on the outside, but there's a battle consuming you on the inside. And you're like a time bomb that's running out of time. Here's good news, okay? You don't have to stay lost. And Jesus said something remarkable in John 14:6. He said, I am the way and the truth and the life, and no one comes to the Father except through me. Notice how he didn't say, I'll show you a better way. He didn't say, I'll give you another option. He said, I am the way. And it isn't about trying harder or cleaning yourself up before you answer God. It's about knowing the one who came to rescue people who couldn't find their way home. What did I say about the compass? Everybody knows this. It always points north. Well, every page of scripture points to Christ. So here's my challenge. Before you make another decision, before you let fear determine your future, before you let disappointment tell you who you are, before you let your circumstance define your direction for that day, check your compass, right? Not your circumstances. Small course corrections today prevent major corrections tomorrow. And if you're not sure what you believe in, I'd encourage you to ask yourself one honest question. What has been guiding my life? Has it been my circumstances, my emotion, my past, my anxiety, my anger, other people's opinions? For some people, it's success. For others, it's comfort. Some are chasing acceptance, and others are trying to run from their past. Jesus offers us something different, and it's not a list of rules. He offers himself. So I'd ask you this question. What's setting the direction of your life? If the answer isn't Christ, today it could be. Change your heading, because here's what I've learned in the military and throughout life. You don't have to be lost forever to be headed in the wrong direction. One course correction can change where you end up. And the greatest course correction, I believe, is turning to Jesus. And I'd love to talk about that with offline if you got questions about it. But Let's pray here as we open up this amazing meeting. Lord, we thank you so much that you have given us this opportunity, Lord. You have laid it on the hearts of the people here to join together, to lock arms for a purpose, Lord. And that purpose is to reach the folks out there who badly need reached, Lord. Some of them are broken. Some of them are on the verge of taking their life, Lord. Some of them are deep in addiction. Some of them are consumed by anger. And so we just ask you, Lord, that you would give us the words, you'd give us the wisdom and the guidance to be able to reach those folks with real love, Lord, with real guidance. And God, if we only save one, then absolutely everything that we've done here is worth it. But Lord, I have faith that we're going to save a whole lot more than one. So I just ask you would anoint this call, that you would spread this message out far and wide in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
And Ben, you just have this way. It's really quite profound. And it's beyond soul searching, at least to me. You have a way of touching a heart and a soul, not only with your passion, with your quotes, with your Bible verses. They're always well chosen, well spoken, well delivered. And I can think of about 20 things you just mentioned that over the last 3 or 4 days, I personally just hit the nail on the head. So thank you. I find you always do that. You know, I open the dialogue up to your expression. What was it again about your compass, please?
Compass always points north.
That's too logical to believe, but yeah,
Yeah.
balance, figure out which way you're going, decide where you're going. So Ben, how long you been out of the military?
I got out in 2013.
Can you give us a little more background? You okay to talk about when you went in? Why'd you go in?
Absolutely. So I went in as I was a paramedic before I went in the military.
Wow.
And being a paramedic was not exciting enough, I guess. I got shot at one time in Pittsburgh, and I came home and I said, I want to go in the military. I want to be a medic in the military. And
How old were you when you went in?
I was 20, 23, 24, something like
Wow.
that. So I went in the military as as pararescue, and I went through the pipeline and everything, and I ended up having an injury in the pipeline, which tore a rotator cuff, and so they fixed that up, and I ended up doing a different profession, still in the Air Force, and I deployed 3 times. And my first deployment, I had a concussion, which wasn't a big deal. I had an Afghan guy fire an RPG off right. I was right behind him, and I saw some pretty good combat. And my last deployment, I had an 82 millimeter mortar land 6 feet from me, and it detonated, and it sent me home. And I spent some time at Walter Reed, some time at Launch School, and ultimately at the end of that, they told me that I couldn't keep doing the profession that I was in, and so I didn't want to do anything else, and I got out. But when I got out, I lost that sense of purpose, and I missed the high speed part of life, and I got into some pretty heavy drinking and drug use, and it was a real hot mess. And in the midst of all this, we opened up a business, a custom woodwork business that did pretty well, thrived, and I ran it straight into the ground with drug use and gambling and drinking. I mean, I was drunk every single. I mean, I would pull in my driveway drinking a Four Loko because I was over with for the day, and it obviously you can't do that forever. So I did it for as long as my body would allow me to, and it ended up with my wife and I separating, and so we were living apart from each other, and somehow this is long before I had a relationship with the Lord. I mean, I was so lost. I was cheating on my wife. I was a hot mess, and I ended up back in the house with my with my family, my two daughters and my wife. And one day I was working outside of my house, and I saw smoke rolling out of the top of my house. And so I ran over there and I opened up the back door, and my pit bull, my baby, ran in the house. And the house was totally on fire on the inside.
Oh my
And
goodness.
so I went into the house to search for my dog.
Oh my
I don't know
goodness.
how long I was in there, but the flames were about 2 feet down from the ceiling.
Oh boy.
And so I went in 2 different times, and I found my little doggy. And I came back out, and we went to the hospital because we both had smoke inhalation.
Mm.
And when I got out of the hospital, I came home and my house was totally destroyed.
Oh my gosh.
And I didn't think anything of it. I was not mad at God. I wasn't mad at nothing. I was a little bit upset because if I had stayed in the military, this wouldn't have happened. If I was still doing the fun stuff downrange, this wouldn't have happened. And so we moved into a temporary place, and I had, like I told you, I was running my business into the ground, and I had told my wife we're going to close the business because it was just real bad. We had done a lot of damage to it. I had done a lot of damage to it, and I made some phone calls. You guys know the guy who goes into a restaurant and helps fix the business, and you watch it on TV and it's great, and it turns out fine at the end. Yeah, I called a bunch of those folks, and they didn't want to help me. And I left some messages, and about 9:30 at night or so, I had a guy call me, and I was drunk and I was high, and but I remembered the number, and I talked to him for like an hour and a half, and he said, "I'll help you fix your business, but you have to go to church on Sunday."
Oh, gee.
So ultimately, I ended up going to church. That's another whole long story too. I didn't make that decision until about 15 minutes before service started. But couple days later, I had a vivid dream. And I wasn't asleep. This was like a daydream, but it was vivid. And I watched from above my house. I watched me crawl into the house to get my dog, and I watched both of us die inside the house.
Oh my goodness.
And I watched him drag me and my dog out to the front yard and just leave us in the front yard.
Oh my
And
goodness.
and at that moment, I just had this weird thought to me, and of that was what was supposed to happen. And then immediately I started having these, like, not necessarily flashbacks, but I remember things like watching an 82 millimeter mortar come in slow motion and land right in front of me and blow up. And I don't know what some of you guys might know the what they would call the danger closer, the actual kill radius of an 82 millimeter mortar, but it's way more than 6 feet. And then I start looking back at other situations where the whole nother day for this story, but I was almost captured one time, and I see that, and there's so many things, and I think about this. Number one, I should be broken mentally from everything that's happened to me. And number two, I should be dead from all the things that I've subjected my body to, all the drugs that I went through. And then I'm facing these life or death situations that I've been through. And I had no choice in my mind but to understand that something or someone has been protecting me from these. And so I went inside my house, the room that I got my dog in, and I realized now that the outlet covers were melted off of the wall.
Oh my gosh.
So this is no longer like a how do I explain this type of a situation? Because I'm almost positive that human beings melt at a lower temperature than plastic outlet covers. And then the bed sheets were melted, and the cups that were the cups that were on the nightstands were melted off. And so at that moment, you know, as I reflect back through all of those things and all of the, you know, I used to have so much trouble sleeping. I mean, that's where the alcohol came from. I couldn't sleep. So what did I do? I drowned myself in alcohol to go to bed. And I remember a time when one of my buddies was living with me, and he came in and woke me up because we were drinking 151 to just because it's quick and fast and you go to sleep. And I was throwing up, and he woke me up before I aspirated and died. And so there's just so many things that I should struggle from, and we help veterans on a daily basis that have all of these issues. You know, they have the anxiety, they have drinking problems. My goodness, there's dudes that have to go through a detox from drinking because it's so bad. And I mean, that doesn't happen overnight. That doesn't happen in 2 weeks. You know, that happens. That's long-term stuff right there. And so you asked me where these messages come from. I've lived this life. I lived a life where I changed direction every single day based off of the circumstances of what was going on. And so the messages I deliver, the messages that I preach are real. And I would tell you now, not as like a success story, but as a success story. My wife and I have not been happier. And you know, our two daughters are doing better than they could be, considering that I used to rip the doors off inside of our house and throw it. I used to have to fix our tile floor and our drywall ceiling because I bounced our bedroom door through the house at night drunk. And and so I'm pretty grateful for it, but I understand now that I have a mission. I have a mission. You said it's a passion. There's no doubt a passion in me, but my mission and my passion is to the men and women who serve our nation, who come home and they're greeted with bureaucracy. They're greeted with medication, and they're greeted with long lines. And there are so many organizations, a lot like AMF here, that are willing to help, um, but they're just not known. And so they need the recognition. They need to be brought into the spotlight. And so that's what our organization does. And we just do it from the avenue of a place where I know is real, because I should be dead. Not once, twice, or 10 times. I should be dead. One time I was TDY in Louisiana, which is uh, the blood alcohol level for driving is 0.02, which is basically breathing next to somebody that has been drinking. And we left the bar. I was way over that, and I ran from the cops as fast as our rental would go. And we got out, ran to the woods, and the cops got caught up to us. And he said, "It is a miracle that you didn't roll your vehicle over." Can you guys still see me?
Hang on, Ben. Rose, I don't know what's gone on with the screen, please.
Yeah, I just want to take just a second here because we just got a bunch of people in here just to welcome everybody. Give us just a second here and let's see what's going on. Miss Rose is coming back in right now. There we go. I got
Back
it
to
off of there.
good to go. But so the officer said,
Oh, there you go, Ben.
"I don't. You're so lucky you didn't roll the vehicle." And hey guys,
Sound?
got some technical glitches, which are it's appropriate. We just got a bunch of people to log in, so
It's all good. Just give us a moment, please.
no, it's good.
Are we good? Go ahead, Ben, please. It's a
So
phenomenal story.
so the officer said, I can't believe you didn't roll your vehicle. And so I crossed over a median to get away from these guys at well over 100 miles an hour. I
Gosh.
should be dead so many times. And so I'm just gonna keep talking while you're doing that, as long as everyone can hear me. And and then I look back and I see the times that I was just sitting in a living room, whether it was just doing this is no exaggeration, doing as much cocaine as I possibly could, just to see. Doing as many.
Te voy a buscar y te voy a volver a meter a la vagina de tu vieja para que te vuelvas a nacer y volver a insultarme, reconche la lona.
And
Tu prima, tu tía, tu cuñada y los mato a todos tus hijitos.
yeah, so
Interesting event today. Hang on just a second, Ben, and let's
I see. We got some hooligans out there.
okay, let's try again. Sorry, guys.
All good. I will tell you this, Deb. Anytime we start to become effective, the enemy's going to want to interfere with that.
I think you're right, my friend.
That is something I am well aware of and well accustomed to, because the last thing that our earthly enemy wants right now is for us to reach people and help them.
I'm good with that, Ben.
So, but anyways, I look back at all that stuff and I see a life that should be over 10 times over. And I have, I can sit in a room with, it doesn't matter who it was, as long as they're open, and I can have a conversation of some things that happen downrange that instill trust, because I'm not saying I've been there and done that, but I've been in some places and I've done some things that that I used to look back on and drink to make them go away.
Can I ask you, was there an incident in all of that? Was there one incident that said, with the drugs and alcohol, well, I'm not doing this. I can't do this anymore. I won't make it.
There was an incident one time with the drugs, where I'm not positive about this, but because I was my wife and I were doing a bunch of acid, and I'm pretty sure my wife died. It was one of those situations where I was holding her and she was totally limp, and it's hard to really understand it, because I was off in la la land. And at the end of that, I said to myself, I'm not doing any more acid, because I just didn't know what I had experienced or anything like that. But man, I was so stupid that I just went back to everything else. And it wasn't until I requested from God to remove the drugs from me. Sincerely. I wanted them gone, but it was just too easy. It's just way too easy. If you don't have any accountability, it's just too stinking easy. And they were gone. Sometimes it's tough for me to even say that, because it minimizes it, makes it sound so easy, but they were gone. And I think that's also one of those things that I've got a mission to do, and that I can't be impeded by that garbage. And so I love I don't love meeting broken guys, but I love talking to them, because I was in their shoes.
But you understand, at least from our perspective with the intrusive interventions, that's why they work. It's not scripted. You bring a bunch of people together that have served their country, whatever the situation might be. You got somebody in that room better off than worse off than you. And at the end of the day, you wonder how they survive. You learn from them. People are listening to your story now going, how in the hell did he do that? What years did you serve, by the way?
So I went in, I think I went in 2007, and I got out 2006, 2007, and I got out in 2013.
And why in 2006 and 7 did you go in at that time of all times?
Well, so I was I I don't know. I'm that type A personality that just driving around in an ambulance and helping people and doing that thrill seeking stuff. I was a fireman. Um, it just wasn't enough. And and um and once I saw combat, the first time I jumped out of an airplane, it was like, oh my, what's next? Like they can't get better than this. And so, you know, I'm not ashamed. I used to be ashamed to say this. I used to feel like it was boasting and bragging, but in 2016 I was awarded a Silver Star. And
Really? Wow.
and I've been told, you know, the guy that disciples me told me, don't hold that back, because
No
that is,
kidding.
remember, I think it was last week where we talked about, you know, our old life, our stuff in the back end of things is now our credentials. I've got the credentials to help all these military folks.
You have the credentials by virtue of how you've lived your life, good, bad, ugly, hideous, or otherwise. Because
Correct.
there's somebody that's going to relate to you in a way that if somebody's just doing a drug or drinking and looking at you and saying, I can't stop, how the hell did he do that? How many times do you have an issue, military or otherwise, fires, family? This is kind of a remarkable story, which none of us have ever heard before.
Yeah.
And thank you. It's the whole way this thing works is by talking your story that somebody else is going to be able to identify with. And somebody might have a question for you that says, I don't know how you do that, but I've got a similar situation. How can you help me get there? How do I convince somebody to do what you did? Look at all the things you did before you said, man, maybe there's a line in the sand and maybe it's the Lord. How and when does that epiphany come to us? Does it come to us? How can we make it come to us sooner when we're self-destructing? Got an answer for that one?
I sure do. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, if we're self-destructing and we're isolated, that's the worst situation.
Yep.
You know, if we're isolated and we're not around folks who can recognize what's happening and help us, then you know, I just pray that they're surfing Facebook or YouTube and this video finds them, because if they're, that's the critical aspect of this stream that goes out, is that, you know, we got to trust that this is going to reach that guy,
I know.
because if he's not letting anybody into his life, and he's not taking phone calls, then that's, you know, that's a really tough situation. But if you recognize somebody that's going down this destructive path, you know, and you can gently help them get back on, but sometimes you just got to grab that person and be like, what are you doing?
You know,
And I have the credentials to grab that person and be like, what are you doing?
you know, it's not only that you have the credentials, I believe from the Lord personally and himself here. I think I told you earlier, starting the charity 21 years ago, you have to check the boxes of what you can and can't do, religion, you know, special, you know, funding, whatever, all those things. I've always had the heart, the want with the Lord. But to be able to sell what you've been through touches the heart of others that don't even know how to begin to find their way to their new normal. And your story, I'm blown away. And I don't think there's any coincidence by why today was a day. How many of these have we done now? And I've never, because of my own talking, never paying attention. Just wanted to ask you your story. I've wanted to several times. And here you are. You found me. I don't know how. We find you. I don't know how. I believe by the grace of God. But you have just hit stories. I know for several people that are sitting in this room right now, and to many others who may be listening, I hope they do, because there's always a need to look for a way. Where do I begin to start dealing with all of the stuff that's going on with me or my child or my spouse or somebody, my neighbor? And when you're talking the less than 0.5%, it's a very unique group. You have to be able to reach them. And your story, I guarantee you, has touched some hearts and souls in this room and will reach out to others. God, Ben, thank you. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'll send you my full
Yeah.
my full testimony, because it's absolutely wild. I mean, it's, when I look back on it and I think about it now, it's insane. It is real. Like sometimes we'll drive somewhere and I'll see some spot that that would, you know, normally trigger an emotion or trigger a memory, and now it just triggers thank God that I'm not in that position anymore.
So can I ask you, from the time you started to serve in the military, prior to going in the military, I guess first question, why did you go in the military? Is something you always wanted to do? It's voluntary.
No, no, I was the first one in my family. My grandfather served in World War II. He was a medic on the invasion in Normandy.
Wow.
But outside of that, there was nobody else in my family had served, and it was kind of abrupt for my family. But I went in obviously shortly after 9/11 had happened, and a couple of years after that. So I knew I was going to see combat, and I was excited to see combat, and that's really why I went in, because I was an adrenaline junkie, and not just that, but I had this untouchable feeling to me.
Wow, I love
I
that.
had I had this I said I was a paramedic, and anybody who's been a paramedic on here, they call it a God complex. And I get to choose who lives and dies. And so I actually at one point in time labeled myself a paragod. It was just the most wildest thing. But I went in the military to just experience the next level. And my first couple of firefights, it was like, give me more. I want more. I want more. And then you get hit in the plate you get shot in one of your plates, and it kind of wakes you up a little bit. But then you're like, my plate saved me. I'm indestructible. I'm untouchable. Let's move. And so it kind of, just snowballed from there.
How many, what years did you serve total?
So, as far as downrange, I went downrange in 2009, 2010, 2011. And it was, 2009, 10, and 11. And every single one of them were very hot deployments. And but outside of that, I came back. I went through all the stuff you got to go through. I had a whole bunch of surgeries, and then they just said, you can't keep doing this. You can't keep jumping. You can't be put in this type of an environment anymore. And so, what would you like to do? And I said, well, what are my options? And they said, well, you don't have very many options. And I said, then I don't want to stay in here. I don't want to be. I love the military, but I don't want to be in a profession where I'm, running a desk, and I can't do all the fun stuff.
In conjunction with that time frame, when did you find the Lord, and how did you find him?
Oh goodness, I found the Lord found me in 2021. So it was that far
You had an
after.
answer, you know exactly when it happened,
I don't remember like the day or our
the
fire
year.
happened in August, but
What
it's
happened?
2021
What happened?
with a fire.
No, how'd you make that determination to find the Lord?
Well, it was almost immediately after I had this epiphany that I should be dead. I should be dead, and I don't understand why I'm not dead, and why am I seeing this, and why am I alive? And I look back at times where it wasn't necessarily a suicide attempt, but it could certainly be labeled as one.
Yeah, yeah. Have you
And
ever thought about, and I know you do it, through your faith as well as through freedom at a price. What do you do when you see somebody that was you years ago, and you know where he's heading is nowhere good? What would you
yeah,
say to that guy?
I probably would just have a conversation with him and see where he's at. Because everybody's so different, and everybody's so guarded. There's one thing that's a little bit different about our ministry is we serve the military and the spouses only. Veterans, active duty, guard, reserve, and their spouses and their kids. Because a lot of these military dudes, they're guarded. If they know that you're serving law enforcement and first responders,
Yeah, I know.
some of these guys, they shut down
I know.
because they say, you don't understand what I've been through.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I just have a conversation with them, and wherever that leads, I just be me. I would go ahead.
I was gonna, have you ever thought, I know you've never come to one of our intrusive interventions, they're not staged, but I'm just sitting here, Lisa, Rosie, you might kind of get where I'm going. I can't fathom what it would be like to have you or maybe a couple of you show up and be a part of it.
I'd love.
I think it would be transformational in an even bigger way. I would tell you, I think they're transformational. I think that it's something greater than anything we could ever prepare to do. They all play out the way they do. It's not scripted. You just bring the people, and I love that stuff. And you, oh my goodness, we could be dangerous at one of these things.
So
I think it would save lives. I think it would be, oh my goodness, we got to talk about doing something in a bigger way, buddy.
yeah, we I've been through a lot of the treatments that are offered too.
Yeah.
So one of the most helpful things that I try to get dudes into is hyperbaric training.
Heck yeah, we're strong advocates, huge advocates. The summit, best in the country, by the way, best in the country. We'll talk further.
I've been through 80 dives in a hyperbaric chamber.
You know,
And
oh my goodness.
it fixed hearing loss.
Oh my goodness, I know. Isn't this phenomenal?
It
It's
is.
like a secret nobody wants to talk about. Are you kidding
Yeah.
me? Don't be
Yeah.
afraid. And that's all part of the treatment. First, you got to break them, drug, alcohol, you know that. So what do you do? What's your advice to the family that has this very severe drug alcoholic addiction problem, who now is destitute financially, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, going to be in trouble just before they're ready to go to jail? What do you say? How do you get to that guy? Tell me.
Engage somebody to help.
Amen.
Our organizations out there who want nothing more than to help you.
Exactly.
And so I'll rattle off just a couple of them. The Mighty Oaks is one of them. The Warrior's Journey is another one. Our organization at Freedom at a Price, freedomataprice.com, we would love to help you. And I mean, this isn't just help from afar. We want to come help you. And we don't want to just help in a way that puts a Band-Aid on it, right? I put it this way. Christ gave me medicine, but he didn't give it to me to hold on to it. He gave it to me to give to others. And so if I have the medicine, I want to come give you the medicine. And sometimes that medicine to somebody who will never accept Jesus, it's financial support. It's getting somebody into a, excuse me, into a dive chamber. It's getting them into some of these electronic therapies that are out there. There's just so many things that we can do to help, and we want to help, but we can't make you allow us help you. It's like,
yeah, addressing the 7 triggers of we attributed to veteran first responder suicide. It's all of those things. It's drug, alcohol's got to be your first stop. Traumatic brain injury, it is treatable. They can do miraculous things. Hyperbaric chamber and what that does for the oxygenation to the brain, getting all your benefits because financially you're struggling, whatever, mentally, emotionally, all that stuff, family dynamic, all those things come into play. And then, they escalate with their frustration, whatever that might be. And at the end of the day, family separations, departures from, I was estranged from my brother for 35 years. And I just didn't get it. I just didn't get it. But he came home from Nam, became a cop, became a first responder, homicides, wanted to get every bad guy off of the street. To have re-engaged with him out of the blue, I wrote him off as dead. I had to, because he wanted nothing to do with anybody in our family. Drug, alcohol in the family, my dad, my mom, manic depressive. We all got that story, but it doesn't mean you have to live with it. It means that there are so many opportunities, so many of the greatest services throughout the country. And if you don't have faith, you might want to find it. But to those of us that do have faith, it's just the icing on the cake that gives you that guidance. Stories like yours, Ben, will always resonate. I don't know why the military doesn't do it. I don't know why they don't that on post and pre-deployments at welcome homes and hail and farewells. I don't know why we don't do this. I don't know why they're threatened about it. I will tell you, Rose's husband, Command Sergeant Major, Marine Corps years ago, I went to one of his events just before they're ready to deploy. And they had all these guys from Vietnam. And they're in the room talking to all these young veterans, scared to death, getting ready to deploy. families, getting ready to hail and farewell goodbye, getting ready to send them off. And they're all scared to death. And all these Vietnam guys are going, let us just talk to you. Here's how you do it. Here's what you do when you get there. Here's what you got when you come back home. Here's how you're going to feel. Here's where we're going to be. I thought everybody on a military post ought to do that. Sergeant Major got it. I don't know that the Marines or any of the branches of the military really get it. I think they do talk about it, but you can't take the less than 0.5% who do choose to serve their country and then reintegrate them back when they leave the military into a society where 99.5% don't really care, don't need to care, and don't know how to offer you help. And you wonder why we've got an incidence of veteran suicide at the rates that we do. I know that this is the recipe to healing, and I know that God is definitely a huge part of all of that, whether you have faith or not. But it's the combination of all of those things. And to me, it's the most frustrating thing when you can't talk them off that cliff and they're going to go whatever way they go. And got a piece of advice on that one, Ben?
Sure. Every person has free will.
I know.
And I sometimes I've been posed the question, why does God allow things like that? Why doesn't he just
Step in.
step in, right? And it's because we've got free will.
I know. I know.
And we wouldn't have a loving God if he chained us up in the basement and made us love him.
I know that. It's
So
frustrating.
yeah, it's incredibly frustrating. It really is because I mean, we look at some of these guys that we know exactly how to help them.
Yep.
But they just don't want the help themselves. And if somebody's going to go to a detox or a rehab and they don't want to go, then all you're doing is wasting somebody's time. You're taking up a slot for somebody else and you're wasting money. Because if they don't want healing, guys, they're not gonna get it. So the first step is to not just want that healing, but to need that healing. And I didn't have that until I recognized I should be dead.
Yeah.
And let's just pause for a second and me myself and think about all of the times that I should be dead and then why. So if I had somebody come and tell me before I was ready, I don't know what would have happened. Maybe there would have been, maybe I would have gotten help. Maybe it would have made a difference. I don't know for sure. I really don't. But part of that, a big part of that is being ready for healing. Because if you're not ready for it, most of the time you're not going to accept it.
It's all true. I think the last one is a trigger. And that is, I've got a couple right now too that, we're ready to get into treatment for drug alcohol. We vet out, probably as you do, the best resources in the country, and we found them, and they're remarkable programs. And we struggle with the VA to get them in because the VA wants to put them where they want to put them. And that often is another trigger. The bureaucracy, I don't say all of it. I'm not here to criticize everything or everyone. But if we can't do a better job at that, then how can we expect to serve the bigger masses? And
Yeah.
right now, today, I've got two, we're now 48 hours into it, and they've been on the phone all day. I've called probably 10 times in their behalf. I've held on for an hour and a half at the VA, just waiting to talk to somebody. You appreciate when you have a veteran who's maybe on the cusp and they fought with drug alcohol, they're ready to go do something about it. You get into a bureaucracy like that, what does it do? It triggers you. You don't want to have the patience to do it. You say, forget it, I'll go drink. I'm not going to do this. And we represent a nonprofit that's coming in to say, please, community care referral. Why do we have to make it so hard? And at the end of the day, that's two right now that I got really strong candidates sitting waiting. One guy just checked him in 48 hours ago. He's ready to go. Do we have to do this? Can't hear. I haven't heard from them all day. They're telling me they're trying all day, calling. I've called plenty of times. We can be doing a much better job. My wish, obviously, like yours, Ben, is to reach as many of these people as we can. We
Yeah.
feel passionate about addressing the 7 triggers of suicide. You really want to do a favor? How about instead of having the bureaucratic red tape, which many years ago they talked about, VA's got a lot of money. There are many, many good operations out there. There are some, as we can all speak to in this room, that aren't so good. And at the end of the day, if we have a better way to do things, why can't we do it? Why can't we discuss it? Why can't we share it and do something for the better good? Why does it have to be so hard to get a community cares referral? Because you want to take a suicidal vet and tell him now what he's got to go do. And that's what they told the kid who's in the hospital on a 72-hour lockdown. He's ready. He's planned it. He knows exactly what he wants to do. Send me. I'm begging for the help. And
Yeah.
they put him through the bureaucracy right now. And now we're another day into it. And he's texting me and I'm saying, don't do it. Don't do it. Keep calling on that phone. They're going all day long. You're looking at $30,000 programs for hyperbaric or for drug alcohol to places I'd like to send you. You're looking at a $50,000 program at the Marcus Institute. Stellar. And now they've got to wait. I was blessed to be able to be a recipient for them for a long time before they had their name out there. Fabulous program. Shepherd's Men, Warrior's Heart. I'm calling it urgently. I've got a suicidal vet ready to give up his alcohol. I got to get him in. Why the hell can't you return my call? I haven't heard from that. It was about a week ago. You understand what a veteran does with something like that? So if you got a solution, what the hell do we do about that?
There is a solution to it. It's just a tough one. One thing that we're gonna eventually work into, we don't have the capability right now, but when that happens and you run into the red tape and you got somebody that wants help, that there would be
Yeah.
a basically a fund set aside so
Yeah.
that we don't have to wait for that. And you don't have to do that too many times, Deb, before you tell your congressman, look, this is what we've had to do. With some change needs to happen. And we're not, we're putting our money where our mouth is, right? We've got,
Maybe that's the answer. Maybe a coalition in Washington. Try to
yeah,
find out and try to get heard. Because you know what? We can talk to the choirs and sing to each other, but it's not going to solve that problem. And that's the solution. Because you want to talk about suicide, that's the freaking solution.
yeah,
My
yeah.
opinion.
Somebody give have something as silly as a 24-hour
Yes.
a 24-hour televised, not televised, but recorded deal where people who would have killed themselves, who would have committed suicide, who would have overdosed, give their testimony because of private funding has fixed this. And
Yes.
it wasn't necessary because they served our country and they shouldn't have to wait for that medical care. So I don't know the answer to that, but I do know the answer is, human beings need to step up. Government is something entirely different, but we as human beings need to put our money where our mouth is. And
How good are you guys at raising money over there?
well, it's always tough. We are an evangelical organization, which makes it tougher.
Yep.
But I would tell you, there's one thing that I am not worried about in this profession that I'm in this ministry, and that's the money, because God can make it appear out of thin air.
I know.
He'll provide it.
Don't take this wrong, Ben, but I think I love you. You
Yeah.
are really a stellar human being, as everybody in this room, and they've gone through hell and back. And oh my God, Lisa can tell you, Mike, we really thought you weren't going to make it. I mean, I don't mean to sound, you're an inspiration to be here. And it's so damn frustrating, I don't mean to, look, guys, we can go as long as you want. I want to get to the floor to anybody else who has anything they want to say, but I want to say, Ben, thank you, because I think we all would say we have the deepest respect for you, everything you've been through. If you present an exemplary example of don't tell me I can't do it, because you did. And if you did it, why can't anybody else? You'll be an inspiration for sure.
Yeah.
Anybody got any talk they want to do? Welcome aboard. I think it's important. Sherry, I'm glad you're here. Thank you. You want to talk a little bit about your past and what you've done?
Oh, Sherry, I just clicked to ask you to unmute. Did you get it? There you go.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Well, my name is Sherry Bradstream. I'm a registered nurse. I became, in 2007, got my master's in counseling. So I was a mental health and substance abuse counselor for over 25 years. And I decided at age 67, I wanted to become a nurse. So since age 9, I've wanted to be a nurse to help people. And so I decided to go ahead and go for it. So I am a Vietnam era veteran. I was in from 74 to 1980. I have my own PTSD due to the conditions of women during that time. That's helped build my character, however, as painful and as often as I've suffered over the years. I've had the glorious responsibility and also the honor to be able to speak with veterans and talk with them in my current position, which is a psych nurse. And so everything that you're saying, Ben and Debbie and everyone else is true. The bureaucracy of Monument Health, other Sanford, Avera, all of these large, like Cleveland Clinic, they all have their own policies and procedures. They want to do their thing. So coming in as a community support organization, such as American Military Family and the Mighty Oaks, and what you're doing, Ben, it's hard for them to, which I feel that they think they're caving in, and then that means that they're not being successful. So they are reluctant in allowing others to walk through the door to assist. And that's really what we're all trying to do, is just help each other. But my son has had, in the last couple days, he's had the desire to kill himself. He is an addict. He is somebody that's alcoholic. And my middle son, they're both combat vets, Ian and Levi. Levi and his wife, Sarah, called Debbie's organization, and Debbie and her people helped bring Levi back because
so cool. Oh dear.
He was going to kill himself. And now my oldest son is in that same boat. And so anyway, the point is that there's not enough of us. And after going through with Ian the last couple days, it's made me realize that there's a reason why I became a nurse. There's a reason why I did mental health and substance abuse counseling. I believe that there's a reason why I got to speak with Debbie. There's no coincidences. And God is a powerful God, and He knows, and the plan that we are all involved in will support and edify Him. And after all, He is our creator, and He knows what we need to do. So I know God's got a plan for my son. So I'd like to just help in any way that I can. And Debbie asked if I would feel comfortable to come on. This is one of the best Zoom meetings I've ever been in. So I want to thank all of you for allowing me to share a little bit. But I will be praying for all of you. And Ben, I will be praying for you in a mighty way. He's put the armor of God around you, and He's used His angels to deflect those darts that the evil one is trying to throw at you. And that's why you're alive, because the heavenly angels surrounded you and God sent them. So you are absolutely correct. Thank you for your service. Thank you for everything that you're doing, everybody. Hey, can I ask you where you're from? I'm done.
No, where are you from?
I'm so sorry. She said, let me know when you're done. I'm from Box Elder, South Dakota. And
I figured it was South Dakota. So
yes,
I lived in Minnesota for a while, and as soon as you said Avera and Sanford, I was like, oh, it's got to be out in that area.
Yes. Not too far from Colorado. So it's, anyway, yes. So thank you for letting me speak. You can mute me now.
We don't need to mute you. Thank you for, really, again, coincidence, right? How we
No.
reconnected today? No coincidence.
No coincidence.
You know, you don't have to go through hell's door like a Ben story to have empathy for those who are struggling. You dedicated your life to it. Did I get the okay on Vietnam? We had a thumbs up for you to join? Yeah. Life just plays out as it does. We always kind of go with the flow. I make Rose crazy. She's learned to have my crazy with her. But you know, even the way you meet people, it just you know, sometimes I don't know, Ben, how you feel about it, but you know, running a charity and there's a lot of paperwork and things you have to do to keep things alive and well. I've never been good at raising money. We've been blessed over the years to have some folks do fundraisers for us, but you know, money is essential to everything you do. Um, I'm glad that keep praying, Ben, because I think we can do remarkable things together and alone. And you know, I kind of want to be the one that changes the world. You know, you have a problem when you don't have a solution. When you have a solution and you choose not to implement it because of money or whatever it might be, it's just so frustrating. You're up close and personal with all these families. You know and see the trauma. And I have to say, uh, I didn't know that about Levi. He's such a great guy, and you know, I should have thought about that because I heard it in his voice yesterday. And so, you know, all these things. You know, you don't take them lightly. You also have to keep your own heart at a distance when you're going through these kind of things because you can't be the one to not push on through. And you have to hold them in my mind anyway. And I know it's your son, but you can't sugarcoat. Ben, you can answer this. How do you get someone with a severe addiction issue to the table to say, I'm ready to go get help? How do you convince them to do that?
And all you can do is share your own experience, strength, and hope.
Yep, I don't think you can convince them. I mean, you can, in the process of sharing your experience, you can show them something that they want. And, you know, if you're not well, they're not gonna want that.
But
And
what
so
they want is money, solve my immediate problem, right? So I cannot deal with the rest of my life, you know. So money
Yeah.
is the one that they usually call. That's a safe place to ask for it. You don't call and say, look, I'm so messed up, you know, could you get me to treatment? So it's easy to say, I've got this issue with money. But
Yeah.
you know, that's why we address the 7 triggers. I think they're very accurate triggers, overwhelmingly. Even people that don't know if they have a TBI, they may acknowledge PTS, but you know, a TBI is like, I don't have one of those. I'm not, my brain's working well.
Yeah.
And people don't even understand that the brain has many capacities to be treatable. And, you know, they're calling their distraught, so it's easy to ask for money.
Yeah.
I bet we'd average, I don't even know how many requests we get a day, and 98% of them are about money. We'll refer them to charities that do something like that, but you know, personally, it just didn't happen to rock my world, so this did.
Yeah.
And I find the frustration is that, you know, we know how we can do much better. We know how there's a better solution. And I would tell you politically or otherwise, but a few years ago, um, there was an opportunity to do a grant to get money. And that was going to be for the sole purpose of some of the greatest American heroes I've ever had the privilege of meeting, all came together and wrote these grants that were going to be individually issued to work with the prevention of veteran suicide. It's about a 27-page grant, as I remember. We wrote it all out. We submitted it. You do everything they tell you to do, and then you don't hear from them. And that was because it was near the end of an election. One of the lead guys, not saying it was Mitch McConnell, but you know, at the end of the day, they wanted those kind of guys in there, and they didn't do the job, and it just vaporized. So that you get this closeness to this hope that you can have that kind of funding available. Can you imagine how dangerous we would be with the ability to have that kind of
Yeah.
funding and rules? You know, here's the deal.
Yeah.
You don't think you have a drug alcohol problem? Well, let's put you over in this category for right now. And if everybody who had that drug alcohol problem evaluates you and says, okay, you're good. You don't have that problem. But if you do, this is your first step and this is where we're going to start. And then we'll pay your bills and then we'll do this and then we'll do
Yep.
that. We'll do it simultaneously as long as you produce and perform. Get them out of that headspace that you were in for a long time. And you got yourself out of it by the grace of God or however else you got it. But that's a rare moment, Ben. That's a rare moment. And it's frightening. And they're frightened. And it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. I guess, as you say, we do what we can. We spread this word. And I'm always one that wants to talk. If we're going to do this, I want everybody to see it. And I always appreciate y'all because you come on to, and I really, Sherry, I'm glad you joined us and I'm glad I met you. I'm sorry, most definitely under the circumstances. I still have hope for your kid. We'll see what happens and we'll still be here. Don't tell him that right now, but well, let him know. Go give him a try because, the door's not closed on you, but you're probably going to have to go do this before you ask for that. But he's still a good kid. Well, I don't know what time it is. I don't know how y'all feel. We're above and beyond. Anybody got any special questions or comments you'd like to offer before we call it a night here? I think it's been powerful. I don't know who all those other people that came in for a minute there, but you've convinced me, Ben, that it may just well be that.
Oh yeah, I know what it was. Yeah.
Okay. And maybe at the end, someone else hear the word or not. I don't know. But was that a good thing or not a good thing?
Oh, it's I anytime I see opposition, Deb, it means I'm on the right track.
I kind of love that.
Yeah.
Think
Yeah.
I'm good if that's what it is.
Yeah.
All right, we're good. Well, then let's keep it up. Same time next week, same station.
There you go.
And let me
Hey, Deb, before Ben finishes us out with a prayer, can you remind everybody where they can contact us from and also the phone call, let's touch base afterwards?
Yeah, thank you. Look, it's the hashtag AMFGy6 will get you directly to our website. American Military Family Got Your Six is the program. We've got your backs. And my phone number is 303-746-8195. The call is up to you, and we're here to start taking you from wherever you are to successful. Ben, if you'll finish this time out for a prayer with us, always appreciate you and that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks for everybody tuning in, and let's go to the Lord. Lord, we thank you so much that God, that you've given us this opportunity to talk with one another, to share our testimonies, to ultimately put our voice out there for somebody who needs to hear it so badly to be able to hear it. Lord, we just ask that you would take this video that is that's being streamed on all of its platforms, Lord, and you just put it in all the places that it needs to go, whether it's 1 day, 1 year, 10 years from now, Lord, that this would still be effective. And I pray this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
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 Thank you, everybody. We'll see you maybe next week, same time, same place, right? And Sherry, I'll talk to you soon, okay?
Okay.
All right. Thanks, everybody.